Shalom, Israel. This is Brother Yahweh. Hope you're having a good Sabbath today. To you, old school is mainly who I draw to. The older people that are still in Christianity on Sunday churches. Well, your boy TD Jakes done put his foot in his mouth. And I'm going to go through some things that he said, and I'm going to dissect it and bring some scriptures with it. It seems like there's an attack on these Israelite groups and the ones you see on the street corners. Now, it seems like to me that, someone has said something to him, and now he has to get out there and put the word out because a lot of people are leaving Sunday churches and they're starting to wake up. And I'll show you that in scriptures where it says how we've been asleep for so long, and people are waking up. Such as myself and other Israelite camps, I say since early 2000, because the Most High said he'll wake up his people in 2 days, which is 2,000 years. So people are really starting to wake up, and these Israelite camps are really doing a good job bringing people out of these Sunday churches, which is very deceptive, especially the Roman Catholic Church, the mother of harlots. So now it seems to me that they try to get the highest deceiver, which is TD Jakes, and I'm sure there'll be more to come to try and say negative things about the teaching of these Israelite camps. Okay, I'm gonna start off, and this video is called TD Jakes, the Gatekeeper. I think that's what I'd name it. No, I tell you what, I changed it. I name it TD Jakes bought and paid for it, because he definitely bought and paid for it, and he ain't giving up the millions. I'm gonna go to Jeremiah 23 and 1. Jeremiah 23 and 1, and this is to the pastors out there preaching deceptively and keeping people in the dark, prevent from waking up. Woe be unto the pastor that destroyed and scattered the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God of Israel against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith the Lord. Now that's to the pastors of today, mainly these Sunday pastors that's not allowing people to wake up, and they keep telling them old lies like the law is done away with, or it doesn't matter, garbage like that. And I call them pimp daddy pastors is what I call them, because they pimping the people out of their tithes, so they have to say things to keep you thinking that they're really ministers or called to preach, as TD Jakes put it. He was called to preach, and people think that they're preaching for God, and they're not. Now I'm gonna go with some of the things that TD Jakes said. I'm tired of these junk food babies. Now let's dissect junk food babies, because I see where he's going with this. And if you look on some of these corners, And some of these guys that's out there preaching on the corners, the head of them, there are some groups I've seen, I just couldn't take it. This kid looked like he was about 12 years old. And I've seen some, you sitting there trying to talk to people that's 3 and 4 times your age. Now you have to give older people some kind of respect, because it's hard. You in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, you walking down the street and hear this kid is, whether he got the truth or not, doesn't matter. You have to look at the circumstances. A 19, 20-something year old kid gonna stop somebody that's been reading the scriptures before you was even born, in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Okay, now they got the truth, but look at it from the older person through his eyes. Here's this child about the age of my grandkid, and he wants to talk to me about scriptures. See, it's a way to present these scriptures to certain people. And when you in your early 20s, probably younger than that, because some of them look just like little babies. When you that young and you trying to give the truth to someone that's 3 or 4 times your age, you need to use your brain and learn how to think, how can I convince this person that they've been wrong 60-something years, 50-something years, 40-something years? That's number one. That's why when I make my videos, it's mainly to the older crowd. So if you young bucks is watching this, just pass this to your parents. I'm not even talking to you, because I can understand that point, junk food babies, because they look just like babies. And they got to the point where I even had to, the church I was going to, I just, it was just so young. I couldn't see myself. And there were times that I did question some of the, I think it was deacons at the church, and I can see the attitude in them, how they would be slow to answer. And it was questions that I didn't know. But I also felt bad. This kid was about as young as my youngest son. He just turned 19. So you gotta understand something. When you teaching, you gotta know how to deliver a message to certain groups. You got the young group, middle age, and you got the elderly group. Okay? And you cannot sit there and bring the truth. You can bring the truth to a person of middle age and then have them go to older people. And the reason why I'm using the age, because T.D. Jakes is up in age. Okay, and he's using that phrase junk food babies. Now, I called them some names too, even though they had the truth with them, but they were attacking people on the street as though they were children. And one guy, this was up in Dallas, one guy, it was a middle-aged gentleman, I give him maybe late 40s, and was talking to a guy in his late 20s. And they was dialoguing, everything was fine. And when the gentleman said, well, we just have to agree to disagree, and he was polite with it, and then he walked off. The guy on the street corner called that man a name. That man turned around and walked back and said, what did you call me? See, this kind of garbage is what's making the Israelites on the corner look bad. And this is why this man is saying junk food babies. It's a way to talk to people. Now I'm going to keep going. I'm tired of these junk food babies starting churches off of potato chips. Now, TD was wrong for that. Starting churches off of potato chips, drawing more people than they can feed. Now, this Israelite movement, it's called the Awakening, is really, really growing. And it has to grow to a point before the next prophecy takes place. This has to be heard around the world. And this Israelite movement is really spreading fast. It's 2 camps that's all over in foreign countries. They're doing a heck of a job. I'm just a little small itty bitty, and I'm just getting started. But I asked the Most High, I wanted to be a voice for him. So I had to come out and start my own thing. But these camps are really spreading, and it really has to spread worldwide. People wake up before the next prophecy takes place. That's how according to scriptures, that's how it's supposed to work. Everybody's going to know the word. All of Israel is going to hear it. Whether you accept it or not, the word has to get out. And once the word gets out, whether you understand it or believe it or not, once that takes place, then the next prophecy takes place. Right now, we're still in the starting blocks of spreading, because this is a huge world, and Israel is in the millions upon millions, and they all have to hear. Okay, starting churches off of potato chips. I don't know where he come from with that, but at my age, I still eat potato chips. I'm sure he do too, as big as he is. So I guess that's just part of his poetry, starting churches off potato chips. He's wrong for saying some garbage like that. And these Israelite churches are doing one hell of a job, and they making Israel think, who am I? Because T.D. Jakes, this is what he's still doing. He's still making you think that you're African American. And this is what you calling yourself. See? When you call yourself African American, Americana Vespucci, and Scipio Africanus, two white Edomites that had slaves and just they hated black people. Scipio Africanus was a Roman general, and Americana Vespucci was an Italian explorer, and they couldn't stand us. And this is what the name that they used to bring us together and call us and give us this name. This is a bunch of garbage. There's no such thing as African American. And T.D. Jakes is proud to be an African American. And then he made another video saying that he was from the Igbo tribe, which really means Hebrew. Now, he admitted being Hebrew in a private meeting, a private talk show that he did, and called himself from the tribe of Igbo, and that his ancestors were Igbo. Black Jews is what he called it, which probably struck a vein against the Jewish people in Israel if he admitted that the Jews are black, because the ones in Israel calling themselves Jewish, they are trying to say that they were the Jews that ran out of Israel into Africa. So that probably struck a nerve. So he came back to his church, and here he is, proud to be an African American, talking to his people, saying this and that doesn't matter. I'm going to go on with what he said. But he stuck his foot in his mouth. And the Israelites are they're catching it, and they're exposing this guy. And I hope the older people that I'm talking to, I hope you see that he's not the only one that's full of garbage. All them other ones on Sunday, them pimp daddies, are no different. Drawing more people than they can feed. You don't know who you are. Now, he's telling the people that they don't know who they are, or if you don't know who you are, people can tell you anything. Now, he admitted being a black Jew, but why won't he tell his congregation who the real Jews are? This is how he's deceiving the people. That's why I call him Pimp Daddy, because once he finished, I'm sure the plate went around, and there were probably a couple of millions in there. See, that's Pimp Daddy. You pimping the people out of their money. I'm going to let me start at Isaiah 1 and 3. I'm going to bring in some scriptures. Isaiah 1 and 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel don't not know. My people does not consider. Now, we do not know because you got people like T.D. Jakes that's keeping us dumbed down. Okay? We're actually the children of Israel. We're the Hebrew Israelites of this Bible. And we just now waking up. So look at all the years that we didn't know who we were. But the Most High is starting to wake us up now to who we really are. I want to highlight there. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass, which is a donkey, his master's crib. But Israel knows nothing. Now, you notice it's saying Israel does not know. Okay. Now, you got to look at the races that don't know who they are. Now, if I just pointed out to you that we're not African American, who is this Israel? There's no such thing. No, there's no such race as Mexican. There's no such race as Puerto Rican. There's no such race as Cuban. See, all these races was given to us by Edom. So when it says Israel does not know, it's talking about the 12 tribes of Israel, because we calling ourselves by a name the Most High did not give us. And the Most High never called us African American. We was beaten into accepting that during slavery and after slavery, during the Jim Crow time period. And here it is, Jesse Jackson decides to go to court and make it legal. See? So when this says Israel does not know, now that should tell you that we're Israel, because you have to look at the races that don't know who they are. And you have to understand all these different names, Jamaican and all that. These are not your heritage or your identity of your nationality. They're not nationalities. Italian is not a nationality. German is not a nationality. French, those are not nationalities. Those are names of a land. And this is what Edom has done to keep us from finding out who we really are. So we are Israel. And that's why we're starting to wake up to who we are. Okay, let me go on. Jeremiah 17:4. Jeremiah really talks about us, our ancestors. I mean, we really screwed up in the past. Jeremiah 17:4. Jeremiah 17:4. And thou even thyself shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies. Are we serving our enemies? You better go back in history. And that's another thing T.D. Jakes said. I'm gonna get to that. Never forget your history, because your history tells you who you are. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. Our ancestors knew nothing about this country. Nothing over here. Mexico, South America, our ancestor was always over in Israel. That was our land. Africa wasn't populated until we left Israel in 70 AD. By the millions, we left. That's how Central and South Africa got populated. Okay? The land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger. See, that's our ancestors. We really upset the Most High God, especially under I think it was it Abraham, not Abraham, Rehoboam, David's son. I can't think. My mind is drawing a blank. But when we started getting away from the law, statutes, and commandments and started sacrificing babies. That's when the Most High had enough. You can go through Jeremiah and it explains it in great detail how our ancestors had really messed up to the point where he wanted nothing to do with us. A fire in my anger which shall burn forever. See, and scriptures like this is what TD Jakes and other pimp daddies are using, saying Israel is no more. But he sent his son to bring us back to the marriage, even after he divorced us. That's how much he loved us, Israel. His son was to bring us back to him under a new covenant. I'll get to that. Let me see. This is Jeremiah 3 and 8. And I saw when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I have put her away and given her a bill of divorce. See, this is what they're using. They're saying Israel is no more. But they never go under Yeshua in the New Testament and what Yeshua was trying to do to bring us back, to the Father. Even to this day, the Most High, He's waking us up to bring us back to Him. Those that will. Now, those that don't, then He will deal with you when He comes back. Yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not, but went and played the harlot. Now, Judah are the black people in America. Israel will be the northern 10 tribes. Okay, Judah and Benjamin were the two southern tribes because Israel left in 721 BC. So Judah, the same tribe that Christ came through, stayed and kept the law, statutes, and commandments until Christ came. And Christ came through Judah, showing you Christ is not white. He came through the same race you see these black folks in these ghettos. So if he was here today, you know, he'd probably be on the south side of Chicago somewhere. Okay? Over there by the Bloods and the Crips. Now let me go to Deuteronomy 32 and 26. King Solomon was the name I was looking for. When Solomon became king, he really went crazy. Rehoboam, all them kings, our ancestors, I mean, they lost it. And when the king goes astray, the people are going to go astray too. So under him, that's where the Most High just said, I'm done with him. Deuteronomy 32. (32, 26). I said I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. You see, now, I will make the remembrance of them. That means we would never remember that we were Israel. And not only did Edom do a good job beating the devil out of us, to erase our Hebrew heritage, our name. This is what this means. I will make the remembrance. That was during slavery. Not only the slavery here, but the slavery in other nations, like that statue of King Nebuchadnezzar. All those nations we were slave under. Was it Greece, Rome, Babylon, and I think before Greece, Before Greece, I can't think of the other nations. We were slave under all those nations. Arab have us slave also. Ishmael, they enslaved us also. So this is how he would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. And we didn't know who we were. Even T.D. Jakes said it for hundreds of years, really up until the day. That's why this is called the awakening. We starting to realize these scriptures is actually talking about us, and our people wrote this book. Okay, and other books are like the Apocrypha, and don't let nobody tell you that it's not carnal. And there's other books that goes along with this Bible. And when they tell you something not carnal, that's just telling you don't read. And they made us not read for a long time. That's why black people don't like to read, because you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of years where we wasn't allowed to read, and then once we started reading, we were limited to what we can read during the Jim Crow era. Now you come down to 2018, it's like a habit that black people and some Mexicans too that don't like to read. Only a few here and there. Okay, let me keep going. Let me go to Psalms 83 and 4. Psalms 83. Psalms 83 and 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more. Now, who is they? They are all the other nations that was outside of Israel that came together, the Arabs, the Africans, descendants of Ham, Edom, all of those nations that was outside of the Hebrew race came together and had a what you would call like a round table meeting. And these nations would bind together to destroy us as a race of people. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. That had to be before 721 BC, because that's when we were divided. Okay, and after we were divided, Judah and Benjamin was divided in 70 AD in Israel. Okay, and that's when now the northern 10 tribe, they were spread it out all over on this side, Europe, England, South America, over here in America, Canada. They were spread it out. And Judah and Benjamin were still in Rome, in Italy. Okay. Then when 70 AD came, after we hung this brother, Christ, then they came after us. And then we spread it into Africa and populated Africa. Then the slave ships came for us there and brought us here. See, this is all through history. You cannot forget your history. And what you don't know, you need to find out so you know who you are. And you won't let pimp daddies like T.D. Jakes keep you dumbed down and blinded and not wake up. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom. Now, Edom is the Caucasian race. Okay? The tabernacles of Edom. These are the nations that came against us. And Ishmaelites. Ishmael, that's the Arabs. And Moab, the Moabites. And the Hagarenes. All these are the Middle Eastern nations. Okay? Moab, the Chinese. Hagarenes are the Egyptians. Gabal, Africans. Ammon, the Japanese. Amalek, the Jewish people. Okay, these are the nations that came against the Hebrew Israelites. The same Israelites that came out of Egypt under Moses. Okay, and Moses was talking to our forefathers in the wilderness. the same race of people. From that point, we went into the land of Canaan, and we started growing and growing and growing until we became a nation. The land of Canaan, we changed the name to Israel. And we populated all that, most of you see the Middle East there. It wasn't just that little bit that you see on the map. It was more nations. The names were changed. Even Iran, that was part of our land, all up in there. We were all over. And when they came together to make a tumult, an agreement to destroy us, that's when we started spreading out. Why T.D. Jakes won't talk about this? Because his congregation is mixed, and it will separate the Hebrews that are in his church and the Edomites that are in his church. And he is being paid by Jewish Edomites. I mean, millions. So it's hard to come out with this truth in a church like T.D. Jakes because his church is mixed. And you're going to have people in there, especially the Israelites, start looking at each other, you know, especially if it's a white person over here, you know, and a Middle Eastern person over here, which there'll never be. And people are start wondering, you know, and they'll probably get confused. The white folks won't get confused because Edom know who we are. And if you got a white friend, don't think they don't know that you are a black Jew. There's an article I wanted to read on speaking of Middle Eastern, Gamal Abdel Nasser. Listen to this. The end of the Jewish people pointedly states that the Europeans claiming to be Jews. This is in 1948 when the Jewish people stole that land over in Israel thanks to England because they helped them get the land. This guy, the Egyptian president name was Gamal Abdel Nasser. The Europeans claiming to be Jews are nothing more than Hebrew-speaking Gentiles. The late president of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, stated on television, "You, the Jews, will never be able to live here in peace." Talking about the land of Israel. Because you left here black, but came back white. We cannot accept you. See, that's right here. I'll show you where I'm reading at. Right there. I downloaded it offline, online. See? You left here black. This is the Egyptian president. And came back white. I don't know what else to do to convince my people that we are the Hebrew Israelites. We are, especially the black people, the Jews that left Israel. And this came out of an Egyptian mouth. Let me go to some more mess that T.D. Jakes said. And he pointed to Dr. Harrison. Stand up, Dr. Harrison. He's just as much a Gentile as I am. Now, in an earlier video, he said he was a black Jew. And in front of his church, because Dr. Harrison is a white man, he's just as much a Gentile as I am. Now he's calling himself a Gentile. You see how confusing that is? Now, that's why I call them pimp daddies, because they slick with words. He's just a different flavor of the same mess. And the only mess that's being taught is on Sundays. Confusion. And I'm quite sure Dr. Harrison is probably Jewish. And I'm sure there's a bunch of Jewish people in there that day making sure he come correct. Okay? Christianity is rooted in Judaism and Abraham. Judaism comes from the Jewish people. They made that up. Okay? Abraham had nothing to do with Judaism. And I know the scriptures say Abraham, there would be many nations, but Abraham did not give birth to the whole world. Abraham was the father of the promise, the children that was of the promise. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now you notice he said nothing about Isaac or Jacob. That would be where the promise would come through. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Okay? And I showed you a video of how Jacob walked because his hip was broke. I showed you, well, I have a video that shows, I might be able to, I'm going to see if I can pull that up. See if I can pull that up. I'm going to show you Jacob. Jacob's hip was broken, but he held on to the angel he was fighting with. See, I'm trying to see if I can find that video. And so you can see. So you can see Jacob. And you will see how we are Jacob. I don't want to take too long. I want you to see this video, but if I still got it, proving to you that we're descendants of Jacob. Now, here you go. There you go.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
There you go. Check that out. Watch it walk. Okay. Tell me his hip ain't broke. That's Jacob's name was changed to Israel. When he got that name there, that's how he walked. That's how we walk all throughout the 70s, 60s, and we still walk that way today. Now that's a broke hip. Tell me we ain't Israel. That's Jacob. That's Jacob. Oh, that kills me. Look at that. Look at that broke hip. You can get on out of here with that garbage. You can't tell me we ain't Israel. Oh, that kills me when I see that. Oh, okay, man. Let's keep going. Hebrews 8 and 8. Hebrews 8 and 8. There we go. Six, seven. Here we go. For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, saith the Lord. Then I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel. Okay, now remember I said he divorced us. And we were under the old covenant under Moses. Okay. because that covenant was broken. We were divorced. Now, here it is in the New Testament. Behold, the days come, said the Lord, when I will make a new covenant. The purpose of Christ coming with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. That's all 12 tribes. See? Here, Pimp Daddy said it's about the covenant. Christianity is rooted in Judaism. It's about the covenant. But he never mentioned nothing about the new covenant. He was only focusing on the old covenant that was broken. So when the old covenant was broken, Edom taught that brought everybody under one umbrella. Everybody were outside of Israel. Everybody was Gentiles. So now that all is Gentile, that's why they say it doesn't matter. This is the new covenant that T.D. Jakes is talking about. It doesn't matter covenant of who you are. Okay? This says in scripture, I will make a new covenant with Israel and Judah. Gentile is not in there. So the Most High God is still focusing on Israel, asking us, actually begging us to come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments. That's all he's asking. So when he comes, he'll know who his people are. See, so if you're under that Sunday doctrine, that's what you call the mark of the beast. That's how he's going to know who is who. If the Sunday doctrine and the Sabbath obeying the laws, statutes, and commandments. And this is why this movement is trying to wake Israel up to go into this new heaven that's coming here. Okay? Jeremiah 31 and 31. Jeremiah 31 and 31. Jeremiah 31. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new. It's the same thing with the house of Israel and with the house of. It's the exact same thing. It's just Jeremiah is telling the same thing as Hebrew. So these two go together. Hebrews 8 and 8 and Jeremiah 31, 31. Both books are saying the same thing. Okay. Well, I got some more garbage, he said. Romans 9 and 7. Because he said here, God is a God of covenant. And a covenant is a contract. Yes. Because when we were in the wilderness, it was a blood contract that we made. And when we broke it, that's why the Most High God came down hard on us. He came down hard on us. And a covenant is a contract. It ain't a white contract. Black is a, no, it's not a white contract. And it's not a black contract. It's a contract. He said it's a contract for everybody. Basically the same thing I just said, that we're all Gentiles. Okay? God is a God of covenant, and a covenant is a contract. Yeah, he made a contract with us in the wilderness. And here is the new contract. Behold, the days come, said the Lord, that I will make a new contract with the same people. It's not saying Gentiles. How in the world, as old as this man is, with all these degrees he said he got, all that money he making, how can he skip over this? You see, that's Pimp Daddy, because you're skipping over Israel and Judah. You taking them out. But in a private conversation, you lie and call yourself a black Jew. See, he's Pimp Daddy. That's what I call him. Romans 9 and 7. Romans. It's a shame. And what kills me is people are so dumbed down, and the people that are dumbed down in his church are the black people. Okay, them white folks know exactly what he's talking about. And I'm sure it's a lot of people from the IRS sitting in his church too, because he has to fill out that 501c3. He's paid and bought for it. Okay, that 501c3 where he don't have to pay no taxes. Romans 9, 7. Neither, because they are the seed of Abraham, are they all children. But in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. And Isaac had Jacob, Esau and Jacob. And in Isaac shall thy seed be called. So out of Abraham, you had Isaac. That's that line I was telling you about, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That was the seed of the promise that we are supposed to be the children of the land that teach the world God's laws, statutes, and commandments. At one time we did, when we were all one nation under Israel before 721 BC. You got to go so far back. That's why it's hard for black people to wake up, because the history goes so far back. And when we were one nation, everybody knew who we were. Okay, there was no a white Jew. They were all black. Even the Mexicans today, back then, was Issachar. They did not have no white skin. All these 12 tribes of Israel were all different shades of black people. Brown, dark, some little bit what we call yellow bone. You know, it was different shades of black. That was all the house of Israel. Now that there have been so much race mixing, it's hard to know who is who. So you got some camps are saying, well, no, they not Israel because they too white. Well, I say to that, you let the Most High decide who is Israel and who's not. Okay, because if they're in that land and you know Mexicans come from Issachar, you just preach to the land, preach to the people, and tell them who Issachar was or who Issachar is today. The same with Levi, the same with Judah, and all the other 12 tribes. Okay, Benjamin. You just preach and stop worrying who is Israel in that race and who is not. When Christ comes, let him decide who is Israel and who is not. Okay? Not because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children. Everybody come out of Abraham was not part of the promise. But in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Okay? Let's go to mention. I'm gonna still stand on this contract. Exodus 3. Exodus 3. Exodus 3. 13 and 14. Because he mentioned earlier about Christianity being rooted in Judaism, Abraham. And you know what? You know, Christianity came under the Catholic Church. And when Yeshua Christ was walking, they never called him Christ. They called him the Messiah. I'm gonna show you in a minute where this Christianity come from. Because he said about Christianity, here it is. Christianity, he said he's tired of Christianity. People are saying it's the white man's religion, okay? In actuality, Christianity is, because Yeshua, they called him the Messiah. And his disciples were followers of the Messiah. I'm going to show you where this Christian, this Christ, come from. Let me show you something. Let me go to 2 Thessalonians 2 and 4. I'll come back to Exodus, but I want to expose this Christianity, and prove to you Christianity did come from the white race. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 4. Second Thessalonians 2 and 4. Let's start with 3. 2 Thessalonians 3 and 4. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. That's Edom. Man of sin, that's Edom, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, who told us in slavery and presented themselves as being God, who told us to call them master or master, which means God. And the Bible said calls no man master and no man father. Okay? Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worship. And we will force the worship the Caucasian race, Edom. Even in the Jim Crow era, sometimes even today, but not as much as the old days. See, you have to be old enough to know and remember. And as a matter of fact, you young bucks need to go to your grandparents and get some stories from them before it's too late, so you can understand how Edom was presenting himself to be worshipped. And they're even doing it to this day. That's why they're over in the Middle East trying to destroy the Middle East way of living, so the Jewish people can control the resources in that country, okay, and still exalt themselves as being gods, okay, or that is worship, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. The temple would be in Israel, in Jerusalem. Who's over there now? Who went there in 1948? The Jewish people. The temple is in Jerusalem. We're not over there. That's Edom sitting over there, sitting in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. He'll get that part once he controls the Middle East. He'll have control of the whole world. Okay? This is the time of the Gentiles. Those are Gentiles over there, Edomites, calling themselves Jewish. They wish they were a Jew. Okay? Now, let's go to First Maccabees. This coincides with First Maccabees. This is in the Apocrypha. Okay? 3 and 46. Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came to Maphah over against Jerusalem. For in Maphah was the place where they prayed in for a time in Israel. Okay. Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes, and laid open the book of the law, which is the Bible, wherein the heathen, that's Gentiles outside of Israel, had sought to paint the likeness of their images. This is during the Renaissance period. When we went into slavery and they went into Israel, and after they ran up out of Israel into Africa, they took all our records, everything that we have written about our people. And also after the Black King James had died, when he put the Bible together in one book, after he died, they also went into that and started changing things and making it seem like white people are the people of the Bible. That's why every time you see a biblical movie, Abraham and Joseph, all them are all white. Moses, the disciple, they always show all white to put in your head that the people in the Bible were Caucasians, and they were not. They were all black people, people of the Hebrew Israelites. The heathen has sought to paint the likeness of their images, just like that white Christ. You know, Cedric Bourget, Gay Blade, Sweet Pea. That's what I call him. He was gay. And they passed that man off as being, I think I got it. Here it is. Here it is. They passed him off as being Christ. Okay? That's the one right there. That's Cedric Bourget. Sweet Pea. That's the image. Now, check this out. This Christ, to show you that they called him the Messiah. This guy right here was a Greek god. Okay? The Greek god. Before him. Okay? So that's why the image looks so much like this guy. Okay? Now I'm going to read to you right here who he is. Serapis Christus, Greco-Roman ca 135 BCE. The marble image in the London Museum is the image they use for Christ, Jesus today. Christus was also the nickname for Serapis. See, it's right here. Right there. See? There was a following under him. This is where this Christ name came from. But the disciples were followers of the Messiah. They were called the Way, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? The other character, the faggot, his name is Cedric Bourget. He was gay. Rodrigo Bourget, Pope Alexander VI was his father. Okay? And they were notorious. They were murderers. I forgot his sister name. I forgot his sister name. Ptolemy rule was to create an identity that would be worshipped by both the Egyptians and the Greeks. He created Serapis and made up Greco-Egyptian god that was invented in the 3rd century BC, portrayed as Greek in the appearance, but with Egyptian accessories representing both wealth and resurrection. The worshippers of Serapis here are called Christian, and those who are devoted to the god Serapis call themselves bishops of Christ. See? Right there. See? Let me see. Right there. See? So they never called Yeshua Christ. And once the Catholic Church got a hold of it, it was just enforced. That's when Christianity just exploded. Let me keep going. I don't want to take up a lot of time. I need to go to Acts. I want to get this straight. Let's go to Acts 13 and 1. Because I just explained Christianity, Acts 13 and 1. Because some are saying that the disciples were called Christ in Antioch. Acts 13. Where you at? 13 and 1. Now listen to this. Because some people are saying that they were called Antioch Christians. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger. It says nothing about Christians. This is Acts 13. It says nothing about them being Christians. Niger is a word that means black. Okay, and in Latin, black means nothing. You can get nothing out of it. It's worthless. So some are saying this word nigger is coming from Niger. Okay, Niger. Some camps are saying it only means black, but they're not explaining what the word black means in Latin. It means nothing. So in other words, you are a nothing race of people. And we've been told that for hundreds of years. We were a 3/5 of being human. That's why, and then Niger is short for Nigerian, which was an area in Africa where they sent slaves to Rome. So when the disciples were preaching, they thought these disciples, Barnabas and Simeon, were from Nigerian in Africa. Today, the name is called Nigeria, but then it was called Nigerian. That's where Niger come from, and they thought they were slaves from that area when Simeon and them was already in Rome. They were part of the Hebrew Israelites, the tribe of Benjamin, I think, I'm not sure. But anyway, it does not say Christian, that they were Christian in Antioch. It just says in the church that was at Antioch, certain prophets and teachers. You see? Let's keep going. That's Acts. Okay. I don't want to forget Exodus. Then I'll move on. Exodus. Okay. Exodus 3:13. Oh, I gotta hurry up. Exodus 3. Okay. And Moses said unto God, behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, the God of your fathers has sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, what is his name? What shall I say unto them? Okay. He's talking to Moses. And God said unto Moses, now this is in the wilderness, showing you that this is showing where the covenant was made. The covenant was made with the Hebrew Israelites. This was the first covenant. Gentiles was not in the wilderness. The Hebrew Israelites that came out of Egypt, this is the people that Moses is speaking for, talking to the Most High God to deliver a message to the people in the wilderness that came out of Egypt. So when TDJs talk about a covenant, the covenant was made with the Israelites. And the new covenant is also will be made with the Hebrew Israelites, Judah, and Israel. Okay, let me keep going. T.D. Jakes also said, do not allow the pain of your past to prevent your theology. That's garbage. That's telling you to forget your past, forget where you come from, forget your history. Okay, and let's go to Deuteronomy 32 and 7. Deuteronomy 32 and 7. Don't let the pain of your past. Listen to this. Deuteronomy 32 and 7. 32 and 7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee thy elders, and they will tell thee. So what in the world is T.D. Jakes talking about? He's saying, do not allow the pain of your past to prevent your theology. Don't worry about your past. The Most High God says, remember the days of old. That way you will know who you are and that you are Hebrew Israelite, not no American. You're from the tribe of Judah here in America. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father. This is what I said earlier about you young cats going to your grandparents before it's too late. And he will show thee. You see, T.D. Jakes made an ass of himself. Romans 15:4. Romans 15:4. I'm still on the same thing. Romans 15:4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. You see? These scriptures was written for a reason. It was written for a reason. First Corinthians 1:21. First Corinthians 1:21. For after that, in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. The foolishness of preaching, which is T.D. Jakes, because he's teaching crazy. He's talking crazy. 2nd Ezra 9:11. Second Ezra, it's in the Apocrypha, 9:11. Okay. And they that have lost my law, while they had yet liberty, which is freedom, which is now, we not under the laws where the Jim Crow laws, they're done away with. And when as yet place a repentance was open unto thee, which is today, which is basically what the Israelites are saying, come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, repent of your sins, and wake up and find out who you are and live as a Jew, a Hebrew, under the law, statutes, and commandments. Was open unto them, understood not. The people that's not understanding these Israelite camps and don't want to have nothing to do with the teaching, but despised it. The same must know it after death by pain. So when you give up the ghost and you ignore all that these camps are trying to teach out there on the corners, in their schoolings, trying to tell you to wake up and stop thinking you're African American, when you give up the ghost after death by pain, you're gonna be in a lot of pain. I can't go into that now because of time. But you don't want to know what happens after death. Everybody goes to Hades. But according to how you lived your life is where you go to either the bosom of Abraham or you're going over on the punishment side. Okay? And this is out of the Apocrypha. So you can keep ignoring the messages that's coming out of these camps if you want to. Okay? I'm gonna go to Romans, close it in Romans 13:11. Okay, Romans 13:11. Romans 13:11. And that knowing the time that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. You see? That's showing you how long we've been asleep for hundreds of years. It's time to really wake up. Okay. And this is what these camps are doing. And this is what I do, is what and my Hebrew brothers, the three Hebrew boys, Yashub, hashtag Judah, and brother Mike. This is what we do as the three Hebrew boys when we make our videos. We just wake people up. That's it. We don't try to start no church. We don't need your money or none of that. We just preach things, we prophesy, and we try to wake you up to who you are. Now, if you want a church to go to, we can point you in a direction. But as the three Hebrew boys, that's, we just wake you up and say, hey man, you're under false teachings on this Sunday doctrine. It's a love doctrine. Okay, and the Most High is telling us to come back to Him. Okay, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. Okay, it's high time to wake out of sleep. So I'm gonna end it with that. Okay, and I hope you got something out of this. And I don't understand TD Jakes and his other pimp daddy buddies sticking his foot in his mouth like he did. So until next time, Israel, I love you. You have a good Sabbath. And Kwam Yashala. Rise, O Israel. Tomorrow.